Juan Soto piss missile season. Soto hit a much awaited home run in Minnesota on Monday as the Mets won the game pretty easily, 5-1 over the Twins in Minnesota. But that might have not been the biggest headline from the night when it comes to Juan Soto. You're watching Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Share the Mets Daily YouTube channel. Smash that thumbs up right below. Click that thumbs up. It helps the channel. Comment below what you think of Juan Soto's night. And what do you think of his comments? Now, a certain publication behind a paywall that doesn't do very well put out some comments. And then there was another writer who put out comments behind another paywall about the writing of his colleague. How about that? Double paywall, double revenue, double subscription hopes. You know, sometimes you sell your soul to the devil. The quote that came out that made a lot of headlines was, "It's definitely different," Soto said about the pitches he's seen this spring compared to what he experienced while with the Yankees in 2024. "I had the best hitter in baseball behind me. I was getting more attacked and more pitches in the strike zone, less intentional walks and things like that. I was pitched differently last year." First off, all the Yankee fans commenting now like, look, he missed the Yankees. He wish he never went to the Mets. Look what he had here with Judge. Should Juan Soto have said this, especially on April 14th? No. But is this a massive story? Is the Mets clubhouse in trouble? Does he miss the Yankees? Also, no. I think he was being honest, and it was an honest assessment to the reporter of a publication that you might have known me from as well one day years ago. And he said to him what he was feeling. And listen, the baseball savant numbers show you that Juan Soto is not getting the same amount of pitches in the strike zone that he was. He's not getting anywhere close. There's a reason he's walking a lot. He's got the eye of a tiger. He's got that keen eye. He knows when it pitches out of the zone, and a lot of pitchers out of the zone because they don't respect Pete Alonso like they do Aaron Judge. And how could you blame him? Pete Alonso was not good last year, and Aaron Judge is a Hall of Famer. And Pete Alonso probably will be a Hall of Famer one day. But is he Aaron Judge? No. And no Met fan can tell you with a straight face that Pete Alonso is Aaron Judge. And if you think that, you're dumb. So what he said was correct. Should he have said it? Probably not. But for this to be blown out into, different headlines and now news is ridiculous. Unfortunately, this is the era we're in. And like I said, certain places you sell the soul to the devil and they go, oh, it's all about the clicks. It's all about bringing in revenue. I know it well from my time there. And the other writer says, shouldn't Juan Soto think he's the best hitter in the game, or at the very least not public suggests he misses having the best hitter behind him? So you had one writer do the nitty-gritty, get the reporting. You had the other writer reacting to the work that writer did. And they put both behind a paywall. So, people obviously screenshot or, they'll still find a way to get it. But you had to, sign up to be a member for this site behind the paywall to see both stories. The Mets did just play in Sacramento in a minor league ballpark. So maybe it's coming off playing in the minor leagues where that stuff comes from. But to me, this is not a massive story. Again, probably shouldn't have said it, but I think Juan Soto's going to have an incredible year. And at some point, he's going to get pitches to hit. They're not going to pitch around him all year long. And people are wondering, why is he off? Why is he frustrated? Well, he's probably frustrated because he's not getting pitches to hit. And, some people looked at that as disrespect to Pete Alonso. He has said how great Pete is and the polar bear, but they're just not in the same stratosphere. And he's not wrong. Pete is not in Judge's stratosphere. Pete's a great hitter. He's not Aaron Judge. So luckily, Pete has shut everyone up, and he's, outperforming Judge so far through the first couple of weeks. Again, very early to even evaluate that. But if Pete Alonso keeps it up, the Mets are going to win games, and Juan Soto will get his numbers. Will Juan Soto hit 45 and drive in 120? Probably not. But if Juan Soto hits 30 and drives in 95 with a 420 on base and he hits 290, and you win the division, you sign up for that every day of the week. So I think the cold, the pitches out of the zone, the frustrations are maybe why Soto seemed to maybe look out of sorts to some people. But in the end, this wasn't a story. And the way it was done was, it was amateur hour in some ways. So I wouldn't look at this as he misses the Yankees and he hates the Mets and he's not going to fit in this clubhouse and Pete Alonso slighted. He was just being honest, maybe honest to a fault. I think some of us, if you're a New Yorker like me, you're very honest. Now, Juan Soto's not a New Yorker, but now maybe he feels like it being his second year in New York, where we keep it real with people. And he kept it real with the reporter, and he said the truth. I don't think it's going to create any kind of rift, though. I think Juan Soto is going to eventually get pitches to hit. When teams start realizing, hey, maybe we shouldn't walk Juan Soto to face Pete Alonso because Alonso is going to do damage. And I think Alonso is such a big part of the Mets team in general, but now more so than ever with Juan Soto in front of him because Alonso's getting the pitches to hit that Soto was getting last year. And I think maybe that's where Soto is a little concerned. We should also be a little concerned because Jose Siri has a fractured tibia. We thought this might be a couple-week injury. Fractured tibia, at the very least, my guess is that Siri's out till July. I mean, when you look up this injury, it's an 8 to 10 week minimum. You know, I think it's probably closer to the 10 weeks, which would mean July, maybe right after the All-Star break. But Jose Siri's going to miss a while. And, you know, there's no roster move made yet by the Mets. And it was just announced right before we recorded this. We kind of wanted to wait. I thought it was going to be Azekar because Azekar was scratched on Tuesday. And I think tomorrow it could still be. But the Mets will now wait because Griffin Canning is scratched from tomorrow's start on Wednesday due to an illness. He's under the weather. He's feeling weak. They're going to give him an extra day or so. So the Mets will likely go with a 6th starter tomorrow on Wednesday. And Canning will likely pitch over the weekend. So I would assume it's Jose Urena tomorrow, potentially, for 5 innings. That's the move for Siri. And then over the weekend, they figure out, is it Azekar? Drew Gilbert has advanced to AAA. Now, I misspoke yesterday. His numbers were in single A rehabbing. That was my mistake. He was rehabbing in single A with those great numbers. Drew Gilbert is now headed to Syracuse to start playing for AAA. So I think Gilbert could be on the horizon, but I don't think they're going to do that immediately. They're not going to go from single A rehab to now the big leagues. My guess it's going to be Azekar for the short term to platoon with Tyrone Taylor, but, you know, we'll end up seeing. But, man, you lose a lot of electricity with Jose Siri out. I will miss him, what he does on the base pass. Now, he couldn't hit a lick for the first couple of weeks. So, hopefully, he gets healthy. He gets right. You know, maybe he studies up, you know, what he was doing wrong for the first couple of weeks. But, man, Siri is an electric player, personality in that locker room, and he'll be missed the next couple of months. And we wish him a speedy recovery from that fractured tibia. That is a serious injury. I don't think he's out for the season. But, again, my guess is somewhere around the All-Star break. So you start thinking, so Canning won't start tomorrow. Maybe it's Blackburn if he's ready, but probably not Blackburn yet. He hasn't rehabbed. My guess it's going to be Urena getting the call up for the spot start tomorrow. Canning over the weekend when the Mets return to Citi Field on Thursday. Francisco Alvarez rehabbing in Double-A now. Jeff McNeil moving up his rehab. So McNeil and Alvarez, like I said, on their way. My guess was this weekend the Mets could hold off and push it to the Philly series on Monday. We'll see. Maybe it's weather permitting, but we hope that it's this weekend at Citi Field. And, you know, with Siri out, you start thinking, man, what are you going to do in center field? Is it going to be Tyrone Taylor every day? Or can Luisangel Acuña play a little center field? Now, Acuña has played center field in the minor leagues in his career. So, you know, I wouldn't rule that completely out of the picture when it comes to Acuña. He hasn't done it in the majors yet. He has played center field in the minors. 38 games total he's played in center field in the minor league. So he does have experience there. 38 games, not a lot. But with his athleticism, you would think he could play some center field. But, man, you saw on Monday why Acuña's starting again Tuesday and why he is going to shine. 2 hits, scoring. He just does it all. Stolen base. He's just that guy. And at the bottom of the order, when you're talking about Acuña, Lindor, Soto, that 9 through 2, and then Alonso, you got a mix of speed, you got a mix of power, you got on base, you got a lot there. And that Acuña Lindor 1-2 punch or 9-1 punch is lethal. 2 for 3, 2 runs, a walk, and a stolen base for Acuña. He's already got 4 stolen bases. This is a guy that needs to play every day. And when Jeff McNeil's back, the Mets might have to consider playing Luisangel Acuña in center field. Tyrone Taylor cannot be playing 7 days a week. He just does not hit enough. The Mets got to put the best lineup out there possible, and there might be days you might see Acuña and McNeil in the same lineup. Now we'll end up seeing, if the roster moves Urena, we'll see what they do here. I would assume Urena for a day, then they send him down, then it's Azekar. My guess is when Azekar's up here, Beatty's gone. And Acuña is your backup second baseman, third baseman. Once McNeil's back, Azekar's here. And then eventually maybe it's Drew Gilbert. So we'll see. But a lot of good stuff here at Mets land. They keep on winning. Good times rolling. It's Tyler McGill on the hill tonight. We'll start dropping shows in the morning. We wanted to wait for this Jose Siri news. Make sure you follow me at Jake Brown Radio. Subscribe to my YouTube at Jake Brown Radio. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Jake Brown Radio. I go live on TikTok right after the game, so check that out. Smash that thumbs up on this video. Let us know, should Acuña play center field? And is the Soto story a big deal at all? Subscribe to Mets Daily. We appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you on a hump day tomorrow, April 16th tomorrow, right here on Mets Daily.